as somebody that travels around the country and talks to responders about not just the need for a program that's just for them, but the processes, and trying to explain to them the processes of what happens when they go in and what happens while they're in. One of the things that I tend to neglect to talk about is what happens afterwards. Is this just a drop and run? Is this the way that the program works? Do they just come here at the end of the 30 days? Do they go home? Or is there a process that follows that?
I mean, depending on the client, everybody's different. So if they go home, we set them up with IOP, with a therapist, psychologist, whatever they may need that their therapist would like them to do. And then once they leave, the day after they leave, they get a phone call from me, unless it's a weekend, and then I call them on Monday. But everybody gets my cell number. So like they can call me at any time if they need something. So that I'm there for sober support. So they know that like we're not just dropping them off at the airport. Like I'm always here for them. And so they'll get a call from me and I'll ask them like, did you go to the IOP appointment that we set up? Or, you know, you have it on Wednesday, don't forget. You know, I'm gonna call you in a week to see if you win. A lot of times they like to ask me like, I'm gonna get a sponsor in a week, can you hold me accountable for that? I'm like, no problem. We have some people that may ask me to call them more often because they want that connection with transformations, and that's not a problem at all.
How far does this relationship go with you? You said, you know, they can call me anytime. They've got your cell phone number. What are some of the other, I mean, other than appointments, other than, you know, perhaps an outpatient service that you've connected them to, what are some of the other requests that you've gotten with this connection that you're making?
We also have a Facebook, well, I have a Facebook page for them to be able to contact me on that. I'm very big on events, wanting them to do sober stuff, so I'm always posting stuff on there. I always ask them if they're doing good to write a testimony. I had a first responder ask me if his wife could write me a testimony, and I was like, I would love your wife to write one, you know, because he stayed here for 3 months, he did all his steps, he did our IOP program, and then has now moved home and is doing terrific. So his wife is really excited that like he did what he needed to do to be able to go home and get his family back together. So she wants to write one, and I was like, of course, I would love to read one from her. So I'm waiting for that, so I'm pretty excited.
How often do you get to share all this with everybody else? Because it sounds like you're the only person that ever gets to see the result.
Yes, I definitely have the best job because I see all the results. Any kind, if a client asks me to tell their therapist or the clinical director or asks me to tell somebody, I will automatically email them and let them know like, hey, they're doing really well. If they write me a testimony, it goes on our website, and then it also goes to their therapist, the admissions person that brought them in, and all the CEM and the clinical director. So like they get to see how everybody's doing.
Do other treatment programs have a similar thing like this, or do you think that this is something that's been developed here in a unique way? Is this common when someone goes to treatment that they have someone to really be there? I mean, really be there for them like this?
I think we are unique in certain ways. There's a lot of treatment centers that have alumni programs. Right now, it's just me. So like they meet me before they leave. They see me on Facebook. The people that stay local like see me in meetings. They know that I'm doing this. I'm not just saying like you should go to a meeting and get a sponsor. Like I'm in recovery too. They see it. And they trust me. They don't see me as a therapist or somebody higher than them. They see me as an equal, so they trust me, very much. When they're struggling, they don't have an issue picking up the phone and calling. So that part I feel like is really unique because we don't have like this giant department, and that they don't know who they're talking to on the other end. Like they meet me. I bring in meetings for them to meet other alumni. Like they know who I am.
Do you get a chance to share a lot of your story with them? And as they go back home and assimilate, do you get to share a lot of, oh, you know what, I remember that. Do you get to do that a lot?
I do. Especially with first responders, I'm married, and we have made it through everything that we've been through, and that's encouraging to them that have family back home, because it's not that easy. So they feel more comfortable that they can talk to me about what's going on in their marriage, because I've done IOP, I went through a marriage counselor, and I fixed what I needed to fix in myself to be able to keep my marriage going.
as I'm trying to assimilate back into my life, I've got you to call. This is great. I post a victory on Facebook. I share it with you. You get excited. That makes me feel better. And now all of a sudden I have a bad day, or I'm having a rough time struggling with something. Maybe I saw something on TV, or someone made a comment back at the at the firehouse. Can my wife call you?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they give me permission to talk to her, that's not a problem at all. Because sometimes I always tell them, like, if I tell my husband something, it's going to sound like I'm nagging him. But if his sponsor tells him the same exact thing, he's going to take his advice. So sometimes she just doesn't want to hear it from you, even though I'm probably going to tell her the same exact thing. But, like, you've lied to her, there's trust issues, so sometimes they do need to hear it from somebody else.
So you've incorporated this holistic approach that the center itself has into what you do. So you're really the one that's taking the treatment home with them. This is excellent.